Welcome to a podcast by ASC Advisory Group. Today we're going to talk about the industrial application of drones. As everybody knows, drones is a hot topic at the moment. We are here with Tim Shea, the author of an ASC study already talking about drones in process industries, and with Matthias Grunstedt, the managing director of Hala Sky, a company that offers solutions in the area of drones and everything around it. I want to give the word to Tim now because he has been visiting the AUVSI Exponential show in Orlando and has brought us some news and some interesting things from there. Please unmute yourself and take it away.
Thanks, Constance. Yes, the show at in Orlando was quite fascinating. It was ARC's first visitation of this show, and thankfully, the attendance was much greater than last year, where they had the problem with the issue of the pandemic, and they also had a storm that hit the area of Atlanta where the show was held. So the attendance went from basically around 1,000 people this last year to over 5,000 with almost 500 exhibitors. So it was a tremendous success in light of the pandemic situation and the recovery from the previous show. And there was a number of different exhibitors on hand, anywhere from the battery manufacturers to the basic manufacturers of composites, the materials that the drones are made out of, to the drone manufacturers themselves. You also had a number of different software providers and drone control system providers, and a number of companies providing complementary payloads such as LiDAR sensors and various other sensors that the drone would be incorporating for data integration and data collection for the purposes of a number of different applications, of which the ones we looked at were things like inspections, surveying and mapping, leak detection, methane monitoring, things of that nature, change detection or progress detection of a project that's ongoing, typically in construction or something like that. And surveillance and monitoring was also a large application that we saw solutions that we're addressing. So the show was very much a full value chain, if you will, of the autonomous space, and it also included some ground-based robotics companies like Boston Dynamics, Ghost Robotics, Unitree, companies like that are offering quadrupedal robots that can move around a plant facility, refinery, or an offshore platform. And they also had a segment of exhibitors that were doing the underwater or remote operated vehicle, drone or autonomous vehicles in that area. So it's a very exciting show with a lot of suppliers, a lot of new exciting developments. The FAA just recently came out with a 400-page report, which is showing signs of progress, if you will, from the FAA standpoint. Obviously, I think many of the drone participants in the industry wish the process would be expedited faster, but relative to how the FAA and other regulatory bodies such as the FAA work, this was some really strong progress in terms of new regulations that they were working on. So the show is very fascinating in terms of getting to see the full spectrum and the full value chain of the drone space. And what the interesting thing was, of all the companies I talked to, we talked to Percepto and companies like Skydio and things like Percepto is unique, and they have what they call an autonomous drone in the box solution. That basically the drone is put in a weather hardened enclosure. The enclosure will automatically open up, and the drone can fly off by itself, fly a pre-programmed mission, do the data collection, data imaging, whatever the case may be, then return back to the enclosure, land itself, and then charge itself, or in some cases, some suppliers will just do a hot swap of the battery. But during that whole show of talking to all these hundreds of companies, I didn't see anybody that really offered a comprehensive end-to-end solution. And that's why I was really excited to be here with Matthias to talk about their very comprehensive, and in my mind, the only one I've seen in the market right now, comprehensive end-to-end drone solution. So I welcome to talk to Matthias and learn more about his solution, because I think the market can really benefit from this wonderful value proposition they can provide.
Thank you very much, Tim, and thank you, Constanza, for having me here. Yeah, let me talk about a little bit about Hala Sky. Hala Sky is the daughter company of the Hamburg Harbor Logistics AG. So you can make an assumption what the abbreviation before Sky means. So, and the Hamburg Harbor Logistics AG is running the third biggest harbor in Europe. So we are running the container terminals, and therefore Hala Sky is born in the harbor, which is by nature our biggest laboratory we can have to improve and to test all our technologies. In essence, at Hala Sky, we are technology developers. We are developing software, microelectronics, embedded software to give an end-to-end solution. What we have done in the past is we have developed an integrated control center for drones and other moving vehicles, let's say AMRs, which can be connected. And with this integrated control center, you can fly more than 100 drones in different locations around the company, around your country, meaning distributed drones out in the field, and all of them can start at the same time if you want, and to do their missions. And this drives basically efficiency of your business processes for autonomous inspection, surveillance, monitoring, and not forgetting transport. Transport with drones will be a big thing. From my point of view, in the future, we are focusing on transport with drones since the beginning, because it's also a hot topic in a huge harbor. And to cover all these use cases, we have not only developed the integrated control center, we have also developed the drones related to these use cases. So we have drones developed in different categories. Take it as a maximum takeoff mass from 25 kilos to 12 kilograms and down to 4 and 2 kilograms. So all these kind of use cases, surveillance is made with 4 kilogram drone and all these kind of things. And at the end of the day, what we provide is a technology which gives a customer a real end-to-end solution, including the services for the drones, including software updates, including software services, hotline, and even consulting. And this is for me a really big point. It is not only about placing drones here and there and that let them automatically start out of a box or base station. We call it base stations, because we have 3 different kinds of base stations. So this is not only about these distributed drones, let them do one job with a fixed box. So it is about a strategy. You should develop, as a company, you should develop a strategy where drones really can add value, being in the third dimension, adding a value to your existing business process to make your company more efficient.
Do you want to tell us a bit about some applications that you're already busy in? Because we're talking about industrial applications where drones are, of course, an interesting topic, but not a daily occurrence yet.
Yeah, we have different applications right now. The surveillance is pretty big in the market. Most of other customers are asking about surveillance. We are always in the kind of critical data kind of things. So that means from the beginning, because we are, as a Hamburg Harbor, we are also critical infrastructure of Germany. So if we are not moving, if we are not working, Germany has a spare part problem, and even other countries too. So that means our system from the first date we started programming all this, we have been looking after security by design. And that is where we are seen for, and therefore customers are talking to us. And so surveillance is a big thing. The second biggest topic, which is slowly coming, is transportation, actually, meaning in B2B. Think about you having your big headquarter production somewhere, and all the distributors and engineering companies are around that. And so that means, why don't you just move parts ad hoc parts, spare parts, and even material probes directly from a wastewater plant into the environmental laboratory. So these are use cases which really make sense. You don't have to look at that really close because, I mean, you're taking the danger out of the streets, out of your factory. The drones fly directly over the factory halls. So it's even with batteries. So it's not that noisy. It's more safe and more environmental friendly. And the third part, what I'm looking at is inspection. It is not only inspection about infrastructure. If you think a little bit deeper, what kind of an impact drone inspections can add to CO2 emissions. Let's say we have so many concrete kind of bridges, houses, and stuff like that. If we would regularly really inspect them, then probably we do not have to build a new bridge. Instead of we can repair the bridge. So this is also saving a lot of CO2 emissions if we do regular inspections with drones. And yeah, these are the applications. And the point about it is not that we have developed this technology, for example, for transportation because we love it so much and we think it's so cool. It is because we are running out of personnel who is actually doing these jobs. And this is where companies, from my point of view, should prepare who is doing these jobs in the future. You know, in our Hamburg Harbor, we are using industrial climbers. I mean, I can ask Tim, how many do you know in your private life? Probably not that many industrial climbers, you know. So
dangerous position, yeah.
And so that means there will not be a lot of industrial climbers maybe in the future because nobody wants to do these kind of things.
That sounds absolutely fascinating. Tim, you have been into the drones and industry for a long time. Can you tell us what you think about their technology and their approach, especially to the drone technology, and what it could mean for our industries?
Well, what I found really impressive is that the ability to, control, 100 plus drones remotely is really currently the regulations. There's only one drone to one pilot. So the ability to manage a fleet of drones from, say, a remote location. He mentioned earlier about the reduction in CO2, that if you can use these to perhaps take away a helicopter flight or a plane, if they're using a drone instead of using a plane to do methane monitoring of a pipeline, for example, or something like that, you're reducing, emissions right there from the jet fuel and from the helicopter fuel and things like that. So right along, you're having an environmental impact of a positive nature. Number two is the ability to, I think, by remotely controlling multiple drones at once, you're reducing tremendous amount of cost to people, because currently right now you need one pilot for one drone, and these pilots are going anywhere from $100 to $200 an hour. And if the guy's not a certified inspector, you have to add the time and cost of an inspector on top of that. So being able to remotely control these fleets of drones is a tremendous cost savings, time, and then the ability to have the drones to go out there automatically. Repeatability of these missions provides a data quality collection, a more consistent data quality collection and analysis, which is really, I think, is really going to be critical. So what really impressed me is the fact that I didn't even know that they had a drone in the box solution themselves and 3 different variations or more of this type of solution, because I think the autonomous aspect of drones is really where the future is, because really what you're saying is instead of having to pay a pilot and an inspector to do these missions, and top of getting a BVLOS waiver, which is not easy to get, number one, and it also has a cost to it. By being able to have the drones, provide this solution, these inspections, this surveilling and monitoring, and and all these different applications, you're keeping the employees out of harm's way, which is really the number one driver today of why people use drones and also robotics. And then the second one is the cost savings you're doing of not having to pay the pilot and or the inspector. So that's certainly a couple $100 an hour for perhaps anywhere from 4 to 8 hours during the day for multiple days, depending on the size.
Plus the availability of these people is limited, of course.
Exactly. Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So, yes, and the quality of these pilots can vary greatly. So by using the drone in an autonomous way, you get a greater data consistency and data quality.
Tim, you brought up an interesting point about also certification, that people have to have certain, not only certification of their own job, but your drones have to have them, your software, your system, depending on countries. Perhaps you could look into that, the two of you, for a moment, and then tell us also where the technology will go in the future.
Well, Thijs, you want to take that?
Yeah, I mean, thank you very much for this question, because certification is a big thing. As with a drone, you're basically a participant in the airspace, so you should have some certification. And it's not only about being part of the airspace; it's already also part of your corporate safety management. So that means if you are flying with a drone in a chemical plant, for example, it should be certified in some ways. So what we have been doing, starting 3 years ago, actually, we developed a functional safety for drones, which is not in the market yet. Meaning, is the drone really there where the drone thinks it is? And also cybersecurity we developed, because when you're in critical infrastructures, you're mapping out your company, you really like to know where your data goes. And you want to have it encrypted and all these kind of things. And therefore, we are expecting this process, this certification process being done by the TÜV end of May. So all electronics have been approved. We are still writing some last documents for the functional safety certification, which is a hard thing to do. Even the cybersecurity was a hard thing to do. But now we have both things in place. And basically, if you know what functional safety is doing, there's not much more you have to develop in the future, because you have separated safety from the operational process in the drone, and that is unique from my point of knowledge.
Absolutely, by far, no one I've talked to was even close to that development. So that's fantastic. It's going to be a real positive impact for the industry for sure.
Yeah, and if we look at Constanze, what you have been asking us, where does this go? I see the technology which has been developed by us and others going a far long way. Not because it's not available, because there are coming more and more applications, and that means that in the future we will control not only robots, AMRs, we will control AGVs, we will be controlling swimming drones. From a control center, and even, let's say, about big trucks, autonomous trucks without a driver inside, when they are used in a corporate environment, for example, because from there they will move outside in the public space, I think.
Is there a limit on the industries, or is there a special talent that your program or your drones have that makes it very useful for certain industries?
We have developed a system, because that was one question of myself. I mean, when I started in 2017 with this type of things, everybody is always use case specific development. And I was asking myself, why in the world does not anybody develops a generic kind of software which is then being able to be adapted to customer needs with the last 10%. So if we are talking to chemicals, to energy, to oil and gas, to logistics. I mean, logistics and chemicals, it's completely different kind of things. But in the whole, if you want to run a drone operation, you need a certain process being in place to make it safe and make it secure for the environment, for people, and for the machines. And this is what we have developed. And therefore we can react on customer requirements according to their special needs to create the most value. And I think this is important. And also, as we have programmed everything ourselves, it's fairly easy to integrate our control center into existing applications. And also future, we have, for example, we have made an integration with ServiceNow, which is an enterprise asset management tool, which is more and more coming. And or if you look at some security, some facility management centers, most of the corporations are having, if we connect that together, having the signal from perimeter being transferred from the corporate security control center into our system, and the drone immediately starts going there, checking if something is under danger or so. So that makes really sense. So the ability to integrate the new software into existing software platforms or software application, that really makes fun from my point of view.
It sounds amazing. Tim, you want to say some last words about in the industrial application of drones before we come to an end?
I think that Matthias hit all the key points, and it was just listening to him. I said these guys have really, really thought this through completely, because it's clearly there's no company out there that I've come across that they're only covering a piece of the puzzle. These guys have thought this whole thing through from end to end, literally. So it's quite fascinating to hear. And I'm excited because I really think that the marketplace needs to know about this capability. And I think that the value proposition that they can provide is going to be tremendous. So I really fully support any efforts to help them in getting the word out. And I think it's you can tell these guys have over-engineered this to the T, because it's addressing all the key issues throughout the whole. I mean, they've covered them almost. I can't think of a scenario that a customer could come across that they haven't thought about. So very, very impressive approach. And I think the strategy part was very important, because I think there's a certain amount of people get caught up in drones, or everybody's talking about drones. And it's like analytics. People get caught up in analytics. You got to look at the business value. And he mentioned about the strategy. Really ask yourself, what do you want to accomplish? Most companies use drones or robotics as the first key is driving is safety. They don't want to have an employee climbing up, a 200-foot smokestack or whatever the application may be. So they're trying to get the employee out of that harm's way. And then it opens up. Once these drones start to prove themselves in certain applications, then your customer asks themselves, what else can I do with this? And so I think these guys have done a tremendous job of thinking that through and sort of probably asking themselves a lot of those same questions along the way. Okay, we can do this. What can we do now? And so I think they've done a fantastic job of developing an end-to-end solution that is going to add a tremendous amount of value to a number of industries and a number of applications.
Thank you very much for that. And thank you, Matthias Gonstedt, for introducing us to this amazing solution. Thank you, Tim, for bringing your expertise to this. If anybody wants to know more about this, please consider joining the European forum of AIC, because Hala Sky will be one of the people who have a keynote or we're going to present their product there. So you can come live on our online forum and ask them. Thank you, both of you, for your time. Thank you, listeners,
Thank you for having me.
giving your time.
Thank you, Constance.
And we wish you a pleasant thing, whatever that you're doing. But goodbye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Take care.